What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Game 2 of this NeoDota King of the Hill series called The Killing Spree, presented by NeoDota. If you want alternative version of this VOD casted by, I think, Mount and Draskell, you can find it on twitch.tv/NeoDota2 or youtube.com/NeoDota2. Help support the North American community, but we will be bringing you this VOD. Again, I'm with Shredkid, and after that exciting Game 1, we'll see what Dignitas has planned. Are you ready to unpause?
I'm absolutely ready to unpause. Let's do it. Three,
Right.
2, 1, unpause.
So, Dignitas versus Liquid. Liquid, with just an immense steamroll in terms of momentum, managed to get the momentum going on their side. And like you said, the picks by Dignitas weren't really suited to handle Liquid in that game.
Yeah, I feel like I mentioned this in the last game, but Liquid's tri-lane was really, really strong, and it gave them space to let their Obsidian Destroyer get farmed and kind of just wreck stuff, for lack of a better word. Yeah, Korok is always a scary hero, scary player, especially when he's on those farming heroes who are capable of, getting a little bit of farm early, and then boom, they just steamroll completely out of control. And that's exactly what Obsidian Destroyer is, and that's exactly what he did that game. So we'll see if he plays a similar hero this game. I know Team Liquid, for a while, I don't know if they're still doing this, because they have like 3 mid players essentially, with TC, Bulba, and Korok. They kind of mix it up just based on what hero, and so I think Korok plays the TA, and Puck is played by a Bulba. It's all done by hero, which is really interesting, and they're the only team who really does that, aside from some Syllabear stuff. So, are they still doing that? Do you know?
I think so. Actually, TC only plays with Gyrocopter and maybe Lone Druid once in a while. Korok usually takes it with more of the farming middle, and Bulba, I think, takes it with, like, if Magnus has to go solo mid, he does with Magnus and Puck.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're one of those teams who likes to switch up the roles. Dignitas also like to switch up the roles as well, because Way2 and I think Universe swap their roles pretty consistently for the most part.
Yeah, Universe is one of those players, and there are a lot of them in the North American scene, but Universe is one of those players who can do everything from, 1 to 5. He can do that hard support or that hard carry either way, and he's good at everything. So we're going to see a Coddle first ban coming up from Dignitas. Pretty standard.
Pretty
they
interesting.
Lost to it last game, and they just don't want to deal with it.
They had the first pick, though, so pretty interesting. And I know they like using Coddle themselves. Maybe they just feel like, alright, Liquid want to pressure us early, and most of our synergy that we have Coddle is sort of those late-game farming heroes that we want to turtle with, but maybe we want to sort of take it towards Liquid with this game. But I find it pretty interesting with the Coddle ban.
Well, what Coddle first ban allows you to do is, usually, at least what I do with it, is it allows you to first pick up Wisp. Because now you ban like a team fight hero or something, and then they have the choice of banning Batrider or Wisp, or neither, and taking one from themselves. But point is, we may very well see a Wisp this game, because that's a lot of times what the first ban Coddle actually means. Because right now, of the 3, S-tier heroes right now, which I would say are Coddle, Nyx, and Batrider, and actually 4 Wisp, Liquid has to ban 2 of them, and they only have 1 ban left. So Dignitas can choose to not ban one of them and force one into the pool.
Keep in mind that Liquid could sort of just ban out a random hero, and they can get potentially 2 really strong heroes as well. But you know, that one hero that Dignitas can get can make all the difference in the game. There's a reason why they're so strong.
That's normally what you end up doing, though. You end up banning a hero which would complement well with the hero that you think they're going to take. In this case, I'm pretty sure that they would take the Batrider if you allowed it. And then you first pick up stuff directly to counter it. So, yeah, we're actually going to see Dignitas saying, you're not going to be able to do that. We're going to ban out a random hero ourselves, CK, which they did. And then Team Liquid is forced to make a choice.
Yeah, Dignitas, I actually haven't seen them run Chaos Knight Wisp ever. And keep in mind, Chaos Knight Wisp, if it is run, obviously picked up in conjunction with each other, so one team doesn't sort of have it uninterrupted, and Dignitas only have the first pick, they don't have, the second and third pick. But Liquid, they're going to ban out the Batrider, makes a lot of sense, usually the hero that we see there. But we'll see if it's going to be Wisp, Undying, or Darkseer, most likely Wisp, like you mentioned, because he probably
I'd be surprised if it wasn't Wisp. If you pick up a first pick that isn't Wisp, you give them Wisp plus a choice of their mid hero, and then they can take the carry hero with it. And it gives you so much draft flexibility, because you can't split push against a Wisp. You can't have a Syllabear against a Wisp. Like, it allows you to do, it's not that he's an amazing hero, which he is, it's that it forces you to group up as 5 for the entire game.
And if you do that, then they can just outfarm you, because they just split push different lane.
That's what he does.
Of course, Wisp, a little bit weak in the early game, but, if he starts getting sort of out of control, he's very, very difficult to deal with, as we're going to see Darkseer and Liquid or Darkseer and Lifesteal are being picked up by Liquid. Darkseer, very, very powerful teamfight hero, can escape from Wisp. Lifesteal has potential to escape from Wisp as well with that Rage and Infest. So a couple of pseudo anti-Wisp heroes, definitely strong heroes in their own right, so pretty smart pickup by Liquid for them, at least as far as I can see it.
Lifestealer is probably the only hero, as in the singular only, carry hero who can escape from Wisp. You just rage TP. But the Darkseer Lifestealer is obviously an extremely strong combination. We saw, I think, Dignitas open with that last game.
Yeah, I think
it was Dignitas open with those two picks last game. So obviously, a lot of teams like doing it. It's so absurdly strong, and it gives you flexibility. Darkseer's team fight, Lifestealer, you can play him as an early carry, a farming carry. Right now, Liquid can do anything right now with their draft, as long as they pick up a support next, which they're kind of forced into.
And I doubt we'll see an Undying. Undying doesn't really fare too well, but we're going to see immediate Slardar pick by Dignitas. Wow.
We're going to pick Weaver. Guarantee it. I'll explain why later. Okay.
I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
I was saying I guaranteed, which was wrong. I thought they were going to pick it then, that they were going to pick a Weaver. That was actually wrong. Okay, here's the stuff I got to talk about. 1, Bash is pretty good against Lifestealer. Goes through the BKB. 2, Slardar actually starts carrying earlier than the Lifestealer. And 3, this is the big one. You put armor on him. You put the minus armor on him, and he just dies. Takes away all of his survivability. So what I was going to say, a lot of teams also really like Weaver against Lifestealer too, because you run away from him, you poke at him, and you just get rid of his armor. It's just such a good hero against Lifestealer. And recently, Weaver was buffed to have 30 extra damage at rank 1 in Sakuchi, which is a huge deal. So I was thinking that they were going to pick him. They still might, but if I was Liquid, I would definitely pick something up and ban that out. And obviously, Bane's really, really good against both Darkseer and Lifestealer. You sleep one, grip the other, done.
Yep.
And this seems to be like...
you know, if you cast the Enfeeble before Lifesteal gets a Rage, that Enfeeble still works. It still will cripple Lifesteal for the most part. I mean, he does have Feast of Sword negate some of it, but still, Lifesteal will tickle in comparison to how he usually hits with that Bane on him.
Absolutely. I very, very much like what Dignitas just did, and Liquid is trying to figure out how to react to it. Like I said, they really have to pick up a support here, because if they don't, Dignitas is just going to ban out all the appropriate supports and just win the tri-lane. And obviously, Wisp isn't a great tri-laner, but you would still be able to do really, really well if you banned out all the appropriate supports. I think Lina is a very big one. You don't want to lean against a Wisp, and you don't want Lina with Lifestealer anyway, so...
Yep. As, again, Dignitas line up pretty weak against pushing, but Liquid, keep in mind, they already secured themselves Darkseer and Lifestealer, so probably won't be going for a severe push, but they might be forced into going back into that, because, again, this Dignitas lineup not really strong against pushing at the moment. Of course, they can pick up 2 heroes that can counter that, but again, Liquid sort of thrown for a bit of a loop. They're running down so much of the reserve time at the moment, and the question is, if AUI picks up the Slardar, is he going to get Atos?
Yeah, he's sort of like a advocate. You know, you have advocates for groups, like someone who speaks out against cancer or speaks for, you know, gun freedom. Or I feel like AUI is like the advocate for Atos. We're going to see Leshrac, and I think that might be trying to get some early towers. I don't think he'll go Lightning build against the team, and we're going to see Magnus banned out. Makes a ton of sense. Just get rid of the Magnus Darkseer combo.
Yep, so the question is how Liquid lane this. Lifestealer, Leshrac safe lane, Darkseer off lane at the moment. Of course, Darkseer could go mid lane. Dignitas, on the other hand...
They won't mid Darkseer. The TA ban, you want to put Darkseer mid against TA if you're going to do it, and because they ban TA, guarantee Darkseer's off lane.
Do you think Slardar is a pretty good mid hero with Wisp? He's not really like Wisp CK, but you can sort of do stuff with it, I guess, maybe.
I think Slardar's actually a decent solo mid hero. Obviously, he could be paired with Wisp. They might do that. I think it's more likely that they're going to try lane. Giving Lifestealer free farm is not what you want to do. Ha! Check it out. It's a Obsidian Destroyer ban.
Yeah, respect ban. As OD is going to get banned. OD pretty much destroys what's left in the pool of middle heroes. So, heroes that are not yet picked up, as there's the Weaver. So, you were talking about it, and we are going to see that picked up. And the question is, how will Dignitas lock these guys down? Or Liquid, how will these guys
It's going to be an offensive tri-lane Weaver safe lane. And I don't know what Liquid can do about this. Thrall is the obvious pickup. You can send back the Wisp. You can silence the Weaver. Like, if it was me, plus he works solo with Darkseer, I think Thrall would be my choice. And you do a tri-lane, safe lane, tri-lane, protect the Lifestealer, and you send Darkseer off lane and get some sort of mid. Because you have the counter pick for mid, and you can counter pick their mid hero. That's what I would do.
One of the cool things about Slardar that I've always liked is I always feel like he's one of the most balanced heroes in Dota history. Of course, he's fallen out of favor, but he sort of shuts down a lot of options. I think Liquid, if it wasn't against Slardar, they'd like to go for Lone Druid for TC or something like that. But Liquid gonna pick up the Rubik. If Rubik can steal Shikuchi,
Yep, that's why.
that's pretty much the best spell you can steal in the game. As
Always
Dignitas gonna pick up the puck, gonna give him some nice anti-push, some team fight control. Because really, other than Bash, they don't really have, well, Bane and Wisp as well. But their team fight has just gotten a lot scarier as well.
Well, check this out on Puck. I mentioned it in every cast I do with you. Puck's an amazing hero, but you can't lock him down with a Lifestealer. You can't shackle shot him, which they just did with the Windrunner, who's going to be played mid almost certainly. The only thing they have is they can pick him up with Rubik, but it'll still be so hard to kill the Puck. And Puck's really going to be able to do whatever he wants this game. I will always be excited when there's a Puck pickup because right now that's my favorite hero, and it's been, my top 5 favorite heroes forever. So.
Yeah, I think the Southeast Asians and the Chinese had it right. Puck first tier worthy for the most part.
Is he being picked up first ban, first pick in China and Southeast Asia?
Well, in Southeast Asian Dota 1, but that's Southeast Asian Dota 1.
Yeah.
They play unconventional. I know Chinese like to pick him up, at least in the first phase. Not really first ban, first pick, but first phase for the most part, I think. I mean, I could be mistaken. As we'll choose the players in the teams. Dignitas, it's going to be Tides playing the Wisp. Fogged is going to be playing the Puck. AUI is going to be playing the Slardar. Universe is going to play the Weaver, so interesting that he's playing the Weaver. And Way2 is playing the Bane.
And on Liquid, we're going to have, it looks like Fluff is doing Fluff's the drafter. He's going to be playing the Leshrac. We're going to have Korok on the Windrunner, should be mid. We're going to have Bulba on the Darkseer. We will have TC playing the Nakes. On the Darkseer, we're going to have Bulba, which I already said. And we're going to have IX Mike playing that support Rubik. IX Mike, the guy's a champion. You can't help but love him.
Like, he steals, the best spells most of the time. But actually, against Smart Weaver, it's pretty much impossible to steal Sakuchi because he can always get out of range. And, if you get in range, you just immediately cast Swarm, and then Rubik's just like, God damn it, what can I do?
I might disagree with that, to be honest. But looks like they're going to go and try to find some people, but it looks like Tides is just going to tether away. I would say that it actually is hard to hide it because there's going to be a sentry down, and if you go into harass with it, you can take it. And even if you try to hide it with the Swarm's got a huge cooldown, and you're going to want a Sakuchi non-stop in fights. So I don't know.
That's true. So maybe Rubik will be the first one to be targeted in these team fights. Probably Darkseer, because Darkseer is always the first one to be targeted in team fights for the most part. Of course, Lifestealer does deal the bulk of Liquid's physical damage. And just judging on paper, in terms of mid to late game, who has the advantage here?
Dignitas has, I would say, an advantage, but it's burden of execution. What they have is hard to execute. Liquid's lineup is so easy to look at that. That's just easy to execute. And I'm not no flame intended. A lot of lineups are easy to execute, and they're still good. But I think Dignitas has an advantage if they do it right.
Yeah, and maybe Dignitas is just like, you always pick up these sort of crazy, quote-unquote, crazy heroes.
And watch mid lane. Something might happen.
Yep, Fogged is going to be playing very, very far forward. Fluff is going to land stun, nicely done, as Puck does have a little one phase, interesting, but he is going to get shackled right to a tree, as Wisp is going to teleport back in. Why did Fogged pick up that first point of phase shift?
You do. It allows, because if you're doing a bottle rush build, which he's not doing a super rush build, but he's doing it a lot, it allows you to get a lot of harass on the first creep wave, because you can basically get 3 to 4 hits in, and they punish you max once for it. Most people... And I really change it up depending on the lane, but in most lanes, I end up getting phase shifts first. And it also depends on your creep block, too, how that goes. But anyway, we're going to see a smoke gank coming, or just regular gank coming bot.
And the Radiant did not have vision of that, as Fluff is going to roam in Central. It has been dropped. Universe, can he escape? Nice lift up by IX Mike. And good ganks by Liquid for the most part thus far, and TC is going to get a very easy last hit. So Weaver being shut down so far. A lot of Central wards and wards in position, so Weaver... not really going to be safe in this lane, especially if these two supports continue to stay in this lane.
If they stick here, it's going to be tricky for him, but if they don't stay here, he's going to demolish, absolutely demolish the Nakes.
Yep, as AUI is just going to contentedly farm up Darkseer, doesn't care, he can jungle. Never really want to give AUI a free farm under any circumstances, but if you can get some farm on your own part, then, you can sort of make that sacrifice, especially if they're winning the other two lanes. Which it looks like they might be doing right now, but some pulling by Way2 is going to secure some lane advantage for Fogged.
Yeah, this is actually a huge deal in this matchup. If Fogged is able to out-level Korok, that's a kill at level 6, almost guaranteed.
And just checking out the experience, looks like Korok just barely level 3 and Fogged a little bit over level 3, almost halfway there to level 4.
Bot
So
lane.
right now he is getting the experience advantage as there is going to be a smoke attempt by Liquid. And keep in mind the Rain do have no vision, but Universe knows something's up. He's just going to play super safe at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, look at all these wards. They have a ward blocking. That sentry does block.
Top lane, Tides the time. He's going to take a bit of rest and just going to tether away. 1800 range. Pretty ridiculous by tether. As he's going to easily escape. And Bulba's just going to farm back up. No Soul Ring just yet. Actually going to run out of mana pretty soon. So he might be in a bit of trouble. Going to cast Surge right now. Will be able to escape, but right now he's going to be out of mana.
Mid lane.
As in the middle lane, Korok is going to take a significant amount of damage. Trying to kill Fog with a DD rune, but unfortunately sacrificed his life for that. Very aggressive maneuver by Korok, but May just wanted to try to shut down the creep pulse. May with the DD thought he could kill Fogged, but as it is, this lane is pretty much lost now.
Yeah, he would have been able to kill him, but then the sleep comes in, takes it off, and dies to the tower when Windrun isn't up anymore. And Fog just going to get some harass out. You know, no big deal. He's going to be doing what looks like is going to be some bottle crawling, which is very wise. If you're able to spam the Windrunner out of lane, which is hard to do, but if you can do it, it's absolutely huge. If Puck does what he wants, he snowballs so easily.
And meanwhile, this bottom lane, Universe is not dying. He's not getting too much experience either, but now that the creep waves are in tower range, he can get experience at a little bit more of a safety range. And meanwhile, these supports are not really doing too much at the moment. Of course, they're keeping Weaver back, which is very important. And now they are going to finally reveal themselves, showing Universe that he was right all along. The question is, what will these supports do now? As it looks like they're going to stay there, but the catapult has spied out Fluff's maneuvering, and looks like a push is going to be attempted, but Fluff might be in for a world of hurt as this creep ult is going to go on, and he's going to take a couple of pot shots by Universe, but looks like he won't be in too much trouble.
They actually... Oh, no, they do have a dust. Okay. I was going to say, if they didn't have a dust there, they could have dived Fluff. He could have dived Fluff, then it would have been fine. Dear Lord. And yeah, we are going to see an Edict build coming out from the Leshrac, which is normally what you do when you're in a 3v1 aggressive situation, because you can just take this tower.
Yep, it's only level 1 Edict, but it still hurts a little bit. I mean, it doesn't hurt as much as level 4 Edict, but very few spells to do. As looks like AUI going to pull the creep wave beyond this tower. Bulba continuing to farm up in the jungle, and way to continue to pull. So Fogged is going to hit level 6 pretty soon, and Korok is actually a full level behind. This is very bad news for Liquid.
Yeah, that's what that mid pull does, and that's why a lot of teams were really favoring Radiant for, you know, a period of 2 to 3 weeks before the mid pull got made much harder to do. But anyway, we see something interesting coming out from Fogged. He's doing most people who play Puck just absolutely max Illusory Orb and then get Waning Rift, but if you get more points in Whiffed, it does cost more mana to control the creep waves, and you can't do it quite as well, nor harass as well, but it gives you more killing power. If you have a full, you know, full tank of mana, got that full tank of gas, you're more able to kill people.
Yeah, if you got that full stick of butter, then, you know, very easy to kill people, very, especially with setup like the sleep, as there is going to be support by the Dignitas support, but a little bit late to save that tower. But yeah, Korok going to be SOL. Keep in mind, the reason why these pulls were going on is actually that AUI and the Wisp were able to clear these trees with the tether, so the pulls were made a lot easier, and pretty much gave Puck back that lane after he did get first blood, as here comes rotation by Liquid, and Universe is going to escape very easily. Oh, Leshrac casting time just a bit too much, as Universe will be able to escape, but still, Lifesteal is free farming, and Lifesteal versus Slardar. You say Slardar carries earlier.
Slardar does stuff earlier. Depends when the blink comes out, though. They're even for a good amount of time, and then Slardar gets ahead.
Middle lane, as there's going to be orbs. Korok actually danced in a circle, trying to escape whatever he could, as he's trying to get a shackle shot, but he is going to die to Puck. Wonder why, was the Dream Coil actually casted? It was casted,
yep,
so that's why I was dancing in a circle, trying to juke as much as possible. I didn't see actually the animation of the Dream Coil, so that's why I was a bit puzzled. But meanwhile, here comes rotation in by Dignitas. Will there be another sleep? Looks like Way 2 is going to get lifted back up to the air. Here comes the Swarm doing a bunch of minus armor. Way 2 is going to be the first one to die in that engagement. Actually, Alex Mike was, as the orb is going to come back out. TC trying to get whatever farm he can possibly get. Going to infest the creep. Going to go back into Tides of Time. Will pick up a kill. TC, that Lifestealer, does not care. And Universe, unfortunately, out of mana, so the pursuit has been stopped for the most part. Fogged does have enough mana, but still does not want to run into a Lifestealer face to face.
Yeah, I think there was a very small misplay from Tides of Time there. He actually should have waited until Puck was farther away and then tethered to him so he could jump to him, as opposed to just immediately tethering. But it's no big deal. He probably thought that he would just be able to get away, but not quite. That slow goes on for so long.
Yep, as Fogged now level 7 compared to IX Mike level 4, but here comes a rotation around by Korok, trying to get in position for a shackle shot. Fogged can just easily dodge away, and actually that Roshan courier, very, very shiny. You know, that thing's worth a pretty penny. Doesn't want to have that die whatsoever.
Not at all, and both teams have one.
Oh, now they're just showing off. Now they're just showing off.
Oh man, B-Ballin', I was invited to one of the stacks that ended up farming these. And I was going to do it, but I had midterm the next day. And I thought they would sell for like $50. They sold for $1,000. Should have done it.
Yeah, Steam is crazy, man.
I know.
These people on Steam. You know, if people want it, then who are we to sort of criticize them? Because obviously they have a value.
It makes you happy.
Yeah, I mean, Roshan doesn't make me happy. That sheep carrier does that just fine enough. Just waiting for the chicken. God damn it, I want the fucking chicken in soon. Or a mini viper. Right? Like an old school mini viper, not this very, very fat, sluggish green viper who looks stupid.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, there's so many items in Dota. It's, you know, some's going to make some people happy and others are going to make other people happy. But back to actually playing Dota as opposed to playing a hat simulator. So,
yo, Hat Simulator 2013. Wonder why it's not coming out for $30 just yet. But Slardar gonna pick up the Burster, probably going into the drums build. Pretty, well, of course, not pretty sad for Slardar because you don't see Slardar, but will make a lot of sense, at least how I can see it. You know, Fogged, maybe say go for that Blink Dagger.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll see some Southeast Asian build, see Puck with Dagon.
Huh. Yeah, no, he's not going to build a Dagon. Most, in fact, almost all Puck and Queen of Pain players pick up that Null Talisman. It gives you a lot of just that extra auto attack that's really needed. And also the stats that it gives means that you don't have to Bottle Crow quite as much.
Dude, if they get a Null Talisman and get pulled regen, it's impossible to lane against. It's so difficult.
Oh, it's absurd.
As here comes rotation round, gonna catch off Korok in a Dream Coil. Here comes the Brain Sap, and looks like AY is gonna get an easy kill with one last right click. IX Mike is gonna teleport in, but he's gonna pay for his life. Actually, a little bit misplayed in terms of chain stun, but it doesn't matter. Orb's gonna pick up the kill, and this tower gonna be under heavy assault. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, TC is spied out. Universe obviously can't kill Leicester at this stage in the game, but it looks like the top tower Rain is gonna die. So Liquid actually picking up a couple more towers in these exchanges, but in terms of experience, I think they probably are lacking. Just taking a look, actually not really that far behind at this point.
Yeah, it's not really a big deal. I think what's important though is who the experience and farm is actually on. If Fog gets that Blink Dagger, and he will, nothing's going to stop him. The only thing that he can't phase shift is Rubik's pickup. So they're going to have to use like 3 disables on him if they're able to get him. And then Weaver does whatever he wants, basically, if that happens.
Yeah, meanwhile TC gonna go for the armament. Already finished that Midas Bulba. Fish the Soul Ring, has a Stout Shield, not indicating if he's going for Vanguard just yet. Might do so, might decide differently. Probably gonna go for Mecha, I imagine.
I'd imagine mech. Mid-win runners really dislike getting mech.
And besides, the mech on Korok will be so late that... Of course, mech is very important at any stage of the game, but it'll be just very, very late. As there is going to be a smoke attempt by Dignitas. Getting Weaver is one of the hardest things to do in the game, but if they can get that lift going, then it should be pretty easy. But Universe is going to cast preemptive Shikuchi, but it looks like Way 2 is going to die in Universe's place. Very nice trade overall.
Yeah, I think they might have been able to avoid all of that, but either way, it's much better to lose a Bane than lose that Weaver. And Weaver is one of those heroes who doesn't really need a lot early because he's able to catch up so easily later just with split pushing. And, you know, he usually survives team fights and gets all the gold from them. So it's not that important to take him down, but sooner or later he's going to have stuff and he'll be annoying.
Well, it depends in games where you're sort of lacking some physical DPS, but in this game you have a Slardar, so you have physical DPS. Of course, Crush, Amplify Damage will definitely help it out. So Weaver not getting too many items definitely will help him out here. As TC gonna approach, here comes the Storm, gonna catch a bunch of people. AOI is gonna teleport in with Tides of Time, gonna pick off Fluff very easily. Meanwhile, TC gonna work on Tides of Time, gonna pick him off before he get recall going, but AOI is just going on a rampage at the moment. Sleep is gonna hold TC in place. He is gonna be out of the picture for 5 seconds, and TC is now out of mana. So overall, a 2-for-1 exchange. AOI just gonna get the heck out of there right now. And looks like Leicester out of mana, but Fog still full HP, full mana. Question is, can he do anything with it? Gonna cast another orb. Gonna get a Wing Grit. Puck is doing work. Does not care as the Weaver and the Puck, so difficult to kill. So much mana, so much sustainability in these team fights. Constantly giving Liquid fits.
Oh, wow, that was really smart. He launches a stun, cancels it, realizes that Fog is going to phase shift, and then he actually re-stuns after that. That was smart, but it didn't quite end up working. Either way.
He phase shifted it anyway.
Yeah, it was close, though. It was close. And when I was talking about the burden of execution being on Dignitas, Dignitas executed correctly. They slept that lifestealer for a majority of the fight. Puck got in, Puck got to do whatever he wanted, and he doesn't even have a blink dagger yet. But eventually, what's going to end up happening is Puck can go in and sleep either the Darkseer or the Nakes, which are the two primary targets that they're going to have to take down. And it's just going to be brutal for Liquid because they're going to have to choose to fight without one of their core heroes. And was Slardar even in that fight?
He was. He got teleported in by Wisp and actually managed to get one kill. Had to back off. He was out of mana, very low in terms of HP. But he did get at least one kill and some assist experience as well.
Okay. Okay, good to know.
I think only Ties of Time died in that fight for Dignitas. So, you know, Wisp is going to take that any day of the week. AUI gonna actually save up maybe for the dagger. Might just be saving up to buy all the components of the drums. Fogged, gonna have that dagger up in about 450 gold. And once he gets that, then Liquid gonna be in a lot of trouble. They're gonna have to pick and choose their fights very, very carefully. Otherwise, they're just gonna get dominated by the Slardar and by this Puck.
Absolutely. And I think what's gonna end up happening is Lifestealer, right now Lifestealer has a ton of farm. Even though I think, has he died? Let me check.
Nope.
Okay, so he hasn't died, so that would explain it. But he's got a lot of farm, and he's going to be a problem if they can't deal with him in fights. But like I said, with the Puck silence, Blink silence, I assume Slardar's going for just a dagger right now, into Slardar daggering on him and, you know, putting his ult on him and going ham. I think he might struggle, even if he has a lot of farm.
Yep, keep in mind the interaction with Amplify and Rage is that if you cast Amplify and then you Rage, the Amplify will get dispelled, I think. And if you cast Amplify after the Rage, while the Rage is still intact, Amplify will go through as normal. Is that how it works?
It's like Bounty Hunter, yeah. You can Rage off a track, but you can track a raged mix. And it's the same way for Amplify.
As Mial, just looking at the overall levels in terms of farm, looks like Lifesteer pretty much the only farmer on Liquid, and Korok is struggling so severely in these engagements. And it's not like Windrunner will scale super well as this game goes on. Of course, Shackle Shot will help immensely, but you know, her item progression has been slowed down by so much, it's really going to be difficult for her to get back in the game.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's seen Dendy's mid-Windrunner, who really is played as a semi-carry. He goes for that Dagger Force Staff, which is, I think he popularized it. Some people did it before, but either way, you have to treat her as a semi-carry when she does that, because she's going to be everywhere. She's going to be landing so many Shackle Shots, and she's going to power shot whoever she wants. So Windrunner with farm can be an early semi-carry, but I don't think Korok really has that farm. And we see the quarter staff, so I would say 4 staff, but it doesn't build into that anymore. And anyway, we have a gang coming in. AUI is TP'd in with Wisp. They have 9 seconds. IX Mike is going to go down. He's cleaned up by Universe. AUI is going to stun the Windrunner, who's windrunning away, but I think he's just going to leave with the Wisp. Yup, he's going to take him out. Fogged is still there. He dodges a power shot. That was kind of nice, but he doesn't have Orb, and he doesn't have Dagger, so he will fall. In the meantime, that's a 1 for 1. 1 for 2. Universe is able to pick up a kill. They sleep the Lifestealer. I'm pretty sure that she is going to get away, maybe? Yeah, Vacuum, not quite long enough. And that was pretty nice how he woke up Bulba to let him pursue, but it just couldn't happen. Or woke up TC.
As the Universe is going to get pursued, they seem to know where he is. TC going to get that open wounds off. He does have time lapse, but he's just going to run away. As Lifesteal is going to be thwarted, and we're starting to see how difficult it is for Liquid to actually catch up with these guys. You know, they got a kill on Puck, but Puck overextended himself by a little bit. Still managed to get 1 or 2 kills in that exchange. So not the worst play by Puck in that engagement, but still, we're starting to see difficulty. How are you going to catch up with these guys? Only Bane will be sort of left in one place.
It's an issue, and we see Blink Daggers on Puck and Slardar now, which means Dignitas is going to be starting fights, and it's going to be safe to do so. Aoi does go for a Dagger Rush, which sometimes we see a Dagger Rush on Slardar, sometimes we see a little bit of tank items first, but this is going to be... I feel bad for IX Mike. Oh, he's going to get hasted in, and Puck is going to phase shift and blink away.
IX Mike is not even level 6 at the moment. This is very, very troubling. He doesn't even have a chance to steal Shikuchi because he's not even level 6. And he won't get level 6 for a bit if they decide to get the push going. Fluff is level 7, has that maxed edict to actually get 1 point to Pulse Noah, trying to do as much damage as he can before he dies, as his tower is going to get lift up. One thing that is going in slight favor of Liquid is that they have a tower advantage. But at the moment, these towers are free gold whenever Dignitas decide to group up and decide to go in.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Dignitas is going to have trouble diving towers. I think they're going to need to get at least a pick off first. But they're fine farming. Like right now, they can have people farming 3 lanes, and with the Wisp Slardar combo, Liquid can't really do that. Like Universe is going for a Linken's. It might be a Manta. I'm almost sure it's a Linken's. Fog can just sit mid and kind of defend, and they're not really farming anywhere else. But I'm pretty sure that they could have Wisp and Slardar farm top lane if they wanted to.
Man, if this is a Southeast Asian game where Weaver was just like only targeted by 2 stunts, I'd be like, what the fuck is this Linken's? But you know, there's Spell Steal, there's Open Wounds, there's Shackle Shot. There's a couple places where he can get stunned. Of course, if anybody picks up an Orchid or a Hex, that Linken's will help out. But at the moment, Linken's probably not the most appropriate choice, but it's a bit.
Was going for Hex.
Yeah, I mean,
or not Hex, excuse me, Silence.
I think Dignitas know that this game will last a little bit longer, so Hexes and Silences might become an issue later on.
Absolutely. And you know what? Just the Linken's on Weaver. If you get a little bit of stats like an Aquila, I see the new American team, Gratz, loves to build Drums and Aquila on him just for the stats. I know Drums aren't great on him. And then build into that Linken's because they realize that you don't necessarily need functional items or damage on Weaver. You just need some stats because Weaver benefits, he's one of those weird heroes who benefits from every single stat. So Linken's is a pretty statsy item, if you will, and all he needs is a little bit of everything to get really good at everything. And that's how they're going to build this game.
As Wisp's going to teleport top, looks like Dignitas is just going to play it super safe at the moment, going to do some D-warding. Way 2, going to get a couple points in Nightmare, realizes that, you know, you probably won't get a chance to really get the Enfeeble going on Lifestealer anyway, so I guess that's his rationale behind it, and these Nightmares have been pretty crucial in these engagements thus far.
Yeah, I mean, this is the super standard Bane build. By level 7, this is almost always exactly what you have. In weird cases, you might have only 1 point in Nightmare, and the other one's either in stats or Enfeeble, but I would be surprised had he skilled any other way. And at this point, he might start maxing Enfeeble, because you don't need that many points in Nightmare, depending on the situation, but I'm not sure. Either way, AUI realizes something's wrong. IXMake is running at him smoked. We're seeing the rest of the team trying to cut him off, and AUI will blink away. Why is IXMake so fast? Oh, he stole sprint.
Yep.
God help him if he gets caught with that up, though.
It's a level 4 sprint. Yeah, 660 HP with that sprint, you know, that's pretty much just 500 HP. You will die super fast.
Did you ever see that video where a Rubik stole Agi gain and accidentally morphed all Agi and started getting Sunstriked on cooldown in the well? That's what that could be for him.
That was pretty hilarious. It was funny he stole the Agi at the end, but at that point his team was just like, you know, it was already over.
It's my favorite Dota 2 video I've ever seen.
Nah,
but
dude, Metal-G no scopes. Why aren't we seeing carry witch doctors? That's a real question.
I know, right? But yeah, like I said, Dignitas is just farming. Like, look, they're farming all over the map. They're farming 3 lanes, and Liquid isn't. Let me pull up the gold graph real quick. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Oh, wow, actually, yeah, I am surprised. That's not what I thought it would be.
Well, there's a minus in 2 towers.
Gold.
There's a minus in 2 towers.
Right?
But I think Dignitas, once they can get some more map open to them, they'll have a lot easier time in terms of farming up. Because right now, Bane is getting no farm, Wisp is getting no farm, Puck is getting some farm, AUI is getting some farm, Weaver is getting some farm as well. But once the map gets opened up, then AUI can just free farm out of control with that Wisp. So it might be more important for Dignitas to get a tower sooner rather than later, because you never really want to give a team with the Darkseer too much opportunity, because he will get the Aghanims up, and the Aghanims is pretty brutal.
Absolutely. And I'm trying to figure out what item we're waiting on. Nobody's really close to any major items right now.
Lifestealer going for Hex. Nice.
Yeah, we're going to see. No, that's a Linken's, guarantee. Blocks
Really?
the Fiend's Grip
Yeah.
and the armor. And that's the only 2 things that are really important to block, but it will. I mean, it'll block it when he's raged.
As Puck gonna scout the Roshan, this Roshan very, very low into his HP. Mechanism has been popped, TC going to work, but losing so much HP. Here comes Universe, not gonna get shackled to anything. Fogged is on the offensive. Here comes Wisp, and Slardar gonna teleport in, gonna get a 2-minute crush onto Korok and onto Fluff. As Bulba's gonna get held in place by a Fiend's Grip, he's gonna die as well. Very greedy play by Liquid, and they're going to pay for it with their last. Wisp picks up another kill, and here comes a blanket by Fog. Going to get trapped by the trees, but it was all part of the plan. Fiend's Grip being casted by IXMake. Might be able to pick up a kill on Universe. No, he dies too fast, as the Universe is going to time-lapse out so much of the damage, and TC, the only survivor, and he's going to run back to tell tales of that brutal massacre. And amplified damage on Roshan means that this will die before Liquid can properly reinforce it. So overall, a huge victory by Dignitas.
Oh, this is going to mean Roshan and every tier 1 tower on the map. We're going to see that was a really weird buyback. That was absurd, to be honest, that buyback.
Maybe
I don't know what that was
top?
trying to accomplish.
No, top is dead anyway.
I don't know why. Anyway, we'll just chalk it up to a misplay. the important thing is that Puck now has a gazillion gold.
Literally
We're going to
a gillion. A jillion.
Literally a gazillion. It's got like 12 digits and everything. AUI is going to be pretty close to that BKB, which he should finish. This is super standard stuff for the Slithering Guard, as I believe he was called in Dota 1. And Universe is going to be done with his Lincolns pretty soon. If not, actually, he is done now, right? Yeah, he's done now. This is going to be problematic for Liquid. Because all of a sudden, everything that Dignitas was putting into play, like, we're going to do all these strategies to make all these little things work to counter the Nakes, they're all in place now.
And look at the experience graph. IXMike is suffering so heavily. Experience graph a little bit over 7.5k. Probably will reach around 9k when all is said and done. And these team fights aren't really going to improve because Slardar will have that 10-second BKB up. You know, Bane will be more tanky, can channel more spells. Wisp, of course, will be allowed to split push a lot easier. So these fights going to get a little bit lopsided unless TC can somehow manage to solo carry it up. And it's a lot of pressure, I think, it's going to be placed on this Darkseer.
Yeah, absolutely. If he misses the wall and like doesn't get at least a 4-man wall, the fight's over. At least at this point in the game with these levels of farm, it's going to be so hard to do anything.
I think it's time for Darkseer to try to pick up a blink.
Could be, and pull off some huge plays.
No, just so he can not get silenced by Fogged.
Oh, that too.
As, you know, we see that from time to time when sort of a blink silence is in the picture.
They're Wisp TPing mid. Wisp goes by himself. Maybe a miscommunication there. Puck is going to orbed in. I'm pretty sure that they're going to be able to catch him. No, Blink Dagger is on cooldown. I think that he was trying to bring UI with him and just messed up.
Well, they got a tower essentially free. They're going to get a 1-man Dream Coil onto Fluff. Puck is going to dodge a splitter. Going to get his phase shift stolen by IXMike. Fogged is going to die. Universe doing a lot of damage in the background, but getting it constantly. Pulse Nova right in the face. Croc is going to get Fiend Script by the Bane Elemental. Here comes Blink Dagger, but AUI decided to join the fight. He's going to BKB up, going to avoid the wall. Going to go onto IXMike. IXMike is going to die buyback by Fog. Going to help secure another kill. Fluff is on the tree. Can you actually escape? Of course you can. You can't run. You can't hide from Puck, the mother effing fairy dragon. As here comes Bulba. AUI going to get stopped in his tracks, but overall, a huge victory for Dignitas. I think that was any buybacks. Oh, wow. Didn't even see Bulba dying.
Yeah, Puck bought back. Puck bought back.
Yeah, I was wondering if Liquid bought back now.
No, I don't think so.
And that's going to mean another tower, because Darkseer's dead, and Leshek, you know, can't really approach the creep wave too securely, so Dignitas looking in very, very solid position at the moment. I mean, TC's not dying, but TC can't solo the enemy team. He is a single target hero.
Blink silence? Nope, nothing. Yeah, and he just gets kited around. We saw Tides. I haven't talked about Wisp at all this game, but Wisp is an incredibly high skill cap hero. There's so many things that you can do with him. We've seen in one team fight, he TP'd behind the enemy team onto the high ground near Roche and went in from the back. So he gave his team positional advantage there. We just saw when he was, you know, this is a littler thing, but we saw that he was tanking the tower intentionally so that he could heal himself and Bane at the same time and, you know, conserve urn charges. If you watch what Tides is doing, and it's all very small things, it's all exceptional, really, Wisp play. He's a very good Wisp player.
You know, this tower going to take significant damage. They have the glyph, but they're not going to use it. They're just going to let it die. Leshek already in the picture. You know, I think they could have fought that. They still have the Aegis, but it looks like they're just going to give it up. Aegis still in the picture for about 2 minutes. So Dignitas still have a little bit of time to make full usage of that Aegis, but as it is, they are very much in advantage.
Yeah, very much so. Let me pull up the net worth. I think that, yeah, Lifestealer is leading by a lot, and then we have 3 people, and then there's a big gap. And those 3 people are all on the Radiant, and they're the 3-4 heroes, and it's going to be very, very hard for Liquid to get any of them shut down. They might be able to get one of them, but all 3 of them, no way.
You know, Bulba picks up a Ghost Scepter, prevent a lot of auto attack from the Wisp, prevent Slardar from right-clicking him, but won't save him from the Bane or the Puck. So I think Blink Dagger would have been a better choice, but maybe Ghost Scepter just to avoid getting right-clicked. He wants to have that mechanism up, so that might be a thought in Bulba's mind. I mean, both items are good, but I think Blink Dagger might have been a little bit better in this situation. I mean, if he can't cast the wall on time, then pretty much his entire team will die, aside from TC.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. I don't know if I would have necessarily had a preference myself, but either way, there's going to be a huge onus on Darkseer to make things happen. And we're seeing, it looks like the Radiant is just clearing their stacks. It's going to be even more gold, which is something that they're able to do. They, you know, it would be really sick if they could steal Liquid's stack. I don't think that they're going to. I think Lifestealer's going to try to clear it now. Yeah, he's going to clear it now before they can steal it, I think.
Well, the smoke is in the picture. Do Dignitas know what's going on? No. Looks like they don't have an inkling just yet. AUI has to keep a Fortune Golden Bank, probably go into standard AC build. Now we see so often in Slardar in pub games. As TC gonna rage off, they can't actually clear the stack very,
You know,
very
we might
quickly.
see a halberd. It's very possible that we will see a halberd. Just as more of the we're gonna shut down Nakes type thing. But otherwise, yeah, I'd love to see the AC, especially with the minus armor and the Weaver. Like you got 2 minus armor people instead of just 1. I think AC would be worth it.
You know, TC decided before going to Lincolns, he was like, I wasn't dying anyway, so I'm gonna pick up the Basher, then going back to Lincolns. You know, he has the recipe, he's gonna have the Perseverance up very, very soon. He hasn't died all game, but again, he can't sell the entire enemy team. Likes to be a very, very strong carry, but he's single target, and he can get kited around once his entire team has died.
And believe him, he is getting kited around. I'd be so frustrated right now if I was TC. This always happens if you're playing Lifestealer and you're owning and you're killing people, and then all of a sudden you hit that point in the game when it's like, oh, they have 4 staffs. Oh, they have Weaver, and all of a sudden you're like, let me hit you, and everybody's running away, and then you just kind of die. I don't know. That's happened to me when I play Lifestealer. I don't play him that much, but it's very frustrating to have it happen, and I feel like if I was TC, I'd be a little bit frustrated right now. And Lincoln's will be done on him, so that's kind of big, I guess.
Yep. As Korok gonna have that Orchid up relatively soon. Question
I
is,
think it's done. Oh, he needs like 100
300.
gold, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be done pretty soon. Question is, who will he silence? Probably Bane when he's Fiend's gripping. Maybe Weaver if the Lincoln Sphere is down. Puck if he can, but Puck, if he plays his cards right, won't get silenced.
This is kind of weird, and I'm actually going to criticize Fluff for something. Liquid doesn't really have anything to break a Lincoln's and break the channels, but mostly the Lincolns. So if we look at what they have that can break it, they have Open Wounds, which you're not going to waste to break the Lincolns. You're going to have Shackle Shot, which you're not going to use to break it because it's absolutely invaluable. You have Rubik Zap, which probably won't hit him unless he's able to target him directly, but if he's that close to you, you're probably going to die if you're IX Mike. The only thing which I think they have that they can suitably waste to kill the Waver, which is also long range enough, is the Lightning. Just get a point in the Lightning to break the Lincolns. I don't know.
Well, you got that Pulse Nova point very early on. He got it actually at level 6. So.
Well, either way, I think maybe skip 1 level in the Split Earth. I think it's really important to be able to kill the Weaver. Otherwise, he's going to kill every single person on Liquid who isn't the Weaver and the Nakes. He's just going to kill all their supports.
And Fogged has finished that Hex, so, you know, I mean, I sort of second guessing that Ghost Scepter even more on Bulbo right now, but there's a reason why he got it. Probably very good if he can make full advantage of that. And actually, Liquid can pick up a gem, try and get some counter work going. But look at this very, very aggressively placed Dignitas Sword on the opposing side of the map, trying to catch out any potential rushes by Liquid.
That ward is full baller status, and you know what it tells me? It tells me that at some time, about 4 minutes ago, they were getting ready to push this tower, and then it hasn't happened. So to me, I think Dignitas wanted to end this game earlier, and it just hasn't happened yet. They haven't been able to get the Wisp picks because Liquid is playing so cautiously. We haven't seen any. I don't think we've seen even 1 Wisp pickoff after the first one. It's just taking people to team fight and using it for split pushing, I think.
But as this game drags on, Weaver will become even more of a factor. We'll get more and more damage. Has finished the Manta style, so now he can survive as well as dish out additional damage. So that can definitely be a problem as this game goes on. Keep in mind, Lifestealer pretty trash against Weaver for the most part when it comes down to a 1v1 late game scenario, because Weaver can just run around him all day. So Orchid has been finished by Windrunner, and I guess that's the timing that Liquid want in order to try to pick off an engagement. And Rain do not have vision. They might suspect something's up.
Yeah, they definitely suspect something's up. With them all gone from the map, and you know that they're not in the jungle because just of the timing on the jungle, like it was just finished. And you know that a team who wants to get Roshan, especially if they're dire, if you know the Rosh timer, and every good team does, you know that the enemy team's going to try to smoke gank you about a minute before Rosh is up. And that's exactly what they did. And oh man, they might actually pick him off anyway. Let's see.
Orb has been used by Fogged, gonna phase shift out. Can he blink out? Gonna get silenced, but not enough damage being applied. Here comes the Swarm being applied. AY gonna blink in with the tether, gonna initiate on Bulba. Without Bulba, this team fight is gonna go to absolute pieces. With TC trying to kill off Bane, unfortunately can't do it by himself. Fiend's being challenged by X Mike. He is gonna die regardless. TC back in the midst of the thing. Will TC finally actually die this game? He is most certainly gonna die. And that is where I think Blink Dagger on Darkseer would have been completely invaluable. They lost to Darkseer, and they lost to everybody for the most part.
They lost the gem too. Which means that they're not going to be able to counter any of Dignitas' wards without just spending on sentries. And let's be real. a Rubik with boots and a wand is not going to want to spend more money on sentries. You're just not going to want to do it. This is going to be Roshan for Dignitas. You don't need to put it on Universe. It's not worth it to put it on Fog. Aui's going to get it, and it's going to be brutal. His AC is almost done. Roshan's going to fall. I think they're going to look to try to take a Rax in the next 5 minutes.
Yep, just, I don't even... experience graph. Almost 20k. It's not even the gold graph. Of course, that will just jump up as towers are taking experience graph, reaching that 20k critical mass. I mean, IX Mike level 9, Korok level 12, Fluff level 9 as well. Meanwhile, the highest level supports on Dignitas, oh, they're both level 13. Or the lowest level people on side Dignitas. Everybody else has their level 3 ultimate.
Yeah, I always like to say that the net graph of experience and gold doesn't matter so much as where that gold is apportioned. And if all of it, like 100% of it, well, not 100% obviously, is on the lifestealer, and he's not getting anything done, it's as if that graph is, you know, double in magnitude. Like, these supports are just dying because they don't have anything. IX Mike has nothing. Boba has a mech. I mean, he's not a support. And then we have the Leshrac has double bracer. I mean, when we have on the Radiant team, we have Wisp with a full mech, full urn, Ghost Scepter. We have the Bane Elemental with a 4-staff, Mana Boots gem. Like, it's just so much. And the fact that it's on everybody as opposed to on one person, I really think that this is how Dota is meant to be played in, you know, this era of Dota. Shared money is better than, you know, isolated money on one person.
Eternal Envy disagrees with you.
I know, and I disagree with him.
Well, yeah, he won DreamHack.
Yeah, so I guess his opinion is therefore more valid. And I'm not saying that sarcastically, it is, but I really do think that, you know, the
Dude, when I play support, I play it as greedily as possible. Like, the only support I ever play is Dazzle, because, you know, I'm just like, oh, you want me to play a Dazzle with no farm? Have fun with that. As I think Liquid's only option is just to get the best wall of Bulba's life, get the vacuum, get a Split Earth, and maybe they have a shot, but otherwise it's just going to look very, very close to impossible. As now, top tower has been taken by Dignitas, only the bottom tier tower remains. They don't even have to go for it, they can just pressure the top lane. They have full BKB up, but they have 8 seconds still left on the BKB up on AUI. 4 staff has been finished by Wave 2. Universe, after that Mantis Style, can't even click on him, has finished up a Demon Edge, so gonna go for a Crystallis or MKB pretty soon. And once he gets that, it's just gonna look very, very ugly.
Yeah, and Liquid was trying to push bottom, but Dignitas is going to call their bluff and say, hey, that's our tier 2. We're at your racks. You know, come deal with this. And it's going to kind of suck for Liquid. We're going to see an initiation probably any second. I'm guessing AUI is going to start and then Puck's going to follow. Let's see if that actually happens.
What spell did Mike steal? He stole the Spirits, which is pretty solid as a spell, but...
Can break Blink Daggers.
It can?
That's why he took it. Yeah, well, obviously, damage. I mean, he's going to hit the people who need to blink in.
You know, TC running back and forth. TC's been living through a lot of these engagements, unfortunately. Not able to make too much impression. I think they're going to try to sacrifice TC and then let him buy back and then sort of have his allies surround him. But still going to be very difficult. The Lincolns has already been dispelled as Silence going to clear off the creep wave. Looks like the top tower has fallen for the Dire as we see those spirits. Man, it's like an ultra rave going on.
Huh. Yeah, it really is confusing when Rubik steals a spell, and obviously spirits are kind of easy to deal with, but some of them you don't know whose is what. The Darkseer wall, when you're in a pub game and you know there's no voice, and there are 2 Darkseer walls up, and you're at 200 HP, and you don't know which one you can run through, it can get pretty confusing. But I think what's going to happen is you're just going to put Universe on the racks and say, hey, you're going to have to deal with this. We're going to force you to commit. And this is kind of weird. Dignitas isn't committing, and I'm pretty sure they can, but I guess they just want to play it safe.
You know, get a bit more farm on AUI. Maybe has potential to potentially buy back and Boots of Travel in, or something like that.
Well, what happens is you have Wisp TP home and bring him to the fight.
Yep, that Roshan's actually going to expire in about 2 minutes. So Dignitas, if they want to fully maximize Aegis, will have to go into Universe. It's going to take
They're going to do it now.
About 30 HP.
They should do it. Oh, no, they didn't. Wow. Yup, they did. AUI goes in. He BKBs immediately. TC is stunned. He's taking so much damage. He is going to get Fiend Script now that the Lincoln is down. Darkseer Wall's in the middle. It's not doing enough damage. Universe is taking a lot of damage. He's going to reflect it, get his life back. Fluff is going to die in a Dream Coil. IX Mike phase shifts, I think. He does something.
How low everybody on
going to run away.
Is.
Yeah, we're going to see... Slardar is going to lose his Aegis, but this should be the racks. They have to go heal. Pause coming out from there must be a Steam server issue, I guess, maybe?
No.
And this is going to be racks.
I mean, Liquid, if they just had a bit more damage, everybody on side Dignitas is so low, the universe is low, Wisp was low, Slardar of course lost the Aegis. If they just had just a little bit more damage, then they might have been able to have actually save these racks, but unfortunately they're just too underfarmed, and that is going to cost them at least racks. And the question is, what will Dignitas decide to do with this? IX Mike and Fluff going to respawn relatively soon, so Dignitas probably just going to have to take this racks and back off, because they don't have Fiend Script, they don't have time lapse, and they're just gonna have to back away after these racks. And the wall is still in the picture for, well, 100-second cooldown.
Doesn't matter, you're not gonna get close to it though.
Yeah. And the wall is actually gonna die in about 10 seconds anyway. So these racks are definitely done. But Liquid actually played that team fight pretty much as well as they hoped they could have. Of course, TC
I don't think they could have done any better.
Got bashed.
Actually, no, that's not true. TC shouldn't have raged initially. I forget what he raged. He raged because he thought someone was gonna go in. And you know what? We have vision that they don't, which means that we can make these decisions in hindsight. But that rage, and then I think I said they're gonna go in, and they immediately did. That's what happened.
Actually, Dire have an observer ward in the base.
That was just recently placed. That ward
right.
can't be up ahead of time.
That's true.
But yeah, TC was just completely shut down. He didn't deal any damage that fight. That fight was all Darkseer. Like, Darkseer's wall did so much damage because it got like 5 people, and I think he made the mistake. Well, it wasn't a mistake. I would have done the same thing. He had it all focus on Universe, and it got Universe so low, and then he got out of it. Like, I think Universe was being Fiend Script, and it just didn't last. He got out at like 200 HP, and then he just time lapsed it.
Yep, very, very unfortunate for Liquid, but overall they fought that probably as well as they could have, aside from, you know, TC getting bashed to death, which is very unfortunate for him. He does have the Abyssal Blade up, so it actually helped him out quite a bit, and it's going to be on cooldown for the next 40 seconds. But I think after this rack, Dignitas will have to back off, and the question is, can Liquid actually do anything in the next engagement? I mean, they can only rely on wall so many times.
Well, the issue that I see in the next engagement is that everybody's next round of items is going to be done. Fogged is going to have Shivas, which it appears that he is electing to build. That'll slow everybody down and clear the illusions. Universe is going to have, I'm guessing it's going to be an MKB. Aui's going to have whatever he wants in after this engagement, plus give him like 4 minutes of farming. And Tides of Time has so much stuff. I mean, they're all going to have their next item. So even if this Rex goes down, the issue is going to be what happens at the next engage when Liquid's on the same items and Dignitas has 3 extra 6k items on them.
That's true. It's not like Darkseer gonna get any big item relatively soon. I mean, he didn't die, but still, relatively poor doesn't really have any opportunity to farm for the past 2 to 3 minutes. Otherwise, he would just get killed by a Whisk gank. TC finished the Abyssal Blade, spent all his buyback gold on that, but that's pretty much the only major item that's being picked up. Korok probably gonna go back into 4 stat, but other than that, it's just looking very grim for Liquid at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah, if we look at what items Liquid has, they have a mech, they have everything on Lifestealer, and they have a Silent Stick. That's it. And then if you look at what Dignitas has, I'm not even going to bother saying it because it's so much stuff. And something, I actually wanted to mention this before. Darkseer is a great late game hero. Everybody knows this. His wall ends up, especially if he has Ags, dealing so much damage with the carries. But something that Darkseer does is that he's much better at replicating passive carries, such as Dragon Knight, Dro Ranger, stuff like that, than ones who get all of their damage off of active spells. A replicated Weaver, it's not going to do anything. You haven't got the actives, and that's what makes Weaver a carry. Replicated Slardar, all his damage comes from the amplified damage. I mean, his illusions aren't really going to hurt. They hurt insofar that they can focus down 1 or 2 of the supports, but they're not going to be able to go toe-to-toe with your carries, which is what you want from a Darkseer if you give him Ags late game.
Yeah, keep in mind the illusions have fake bash, which, I mean, if the correct mechanism is still placed in Dota 2, don't actually bash, but they prolong the bash. That's how it was in Dota 1. But they won't get bashes by themselves unless the TC managed to get bash first hit anyways. And TC going back to base as we wait out on the pause. And Dignitas, you know, once they buy back, do you think they should just try to end it, just try to seal the fate of Liquid, or do you think they could play a bit more safe, try to go for next Roshan?
No, I don't know about Roshan because it's going to be a while, but I would finish your next round of items at the very least. I would finish the Shivas, I would finish the MKB, and I'd give Aoi whatever he wants. And once Aoi's item is done, that's when I go to end the game.
Yep, Universe going to get earned up. This Rack's going to take significant damage. Actually, AY is staying very far back and wants to initiate with that dagger. Glyph has been forced. Bulba going to get another vacuum. but the wall has finally worn off. This Rax is totally and completely screwed as the Shackle Shot gonna catch off Universe, but you did get the Shikuchi off as 2C is gonna try to get whatever right click, but Ghost Scepter says lull to that. AUI is gonna blink back in, gonna do so much damage. TC doesn't have buyback. If he dies right here, it might just be GG. Gonna get silenced right in the face. AUI is gonna get stun off. TC is silenced. He's gonna get bashed to death, and this most assuredly will be GG. TC is dead for 70 seconds. No buyback. Rax are dead on the top lane. And Dignitas do have the potential.
Crush. That's full skill. But yeah, this game's over. And Fluff is going to call the GG. That always is funny, though, when there's a, 3-4 minute pause, and then they GG out 10 seconds later. But, they couldn't have known it was going to play out.
It ain't Dota if there's no pause.
Of course not. Especially right after people select their heroes.
So again, as we saw this game, was it mostly decided by the picks? Was it just, the play by Dignitas? Of course, that had a major factor as well. Or was it pretty much just the drafting phase again?
I'm not going to say it was. I would say Dignitas had an advantage due to their draft, but I'm going to say that their play is what made this game what it was, especially Tides of Time. He played extremely well. Him putting Slardar where he needed to be in fights kind of won them, I think, 2 major fights. And Fog played okay. He played pretty well. I think he could have done a little bit better, but here's the deal. On Puck, if you die, it's because you messed up. And he died 3 times.
It's just a lack of familiarity. I think Fogged, not really known for his Puck. So maybe as he practices, it'll get better and better. Overall, he played solid. He played good enough to get the win. But
I mean, no, don't get me wrong. He played pretty well. But Puck has such a high skill cap because there's literally so much you can do with him. Nobody plays him perfectly. Nobody does. Not even Ferrari.
As Way2 says, I'm going to remember that, and that might be ominous for Liquid going into Game 3, as the score ends up being 32-10. Pretty one-sided in the kill count for Dignitas, but the series actually is tied 1-1, so if Dignitas win this game, they get $100 going to their pocket. So, once again, thanks for watching. We'll be back with Game 3 very, very soon. This has been B-Ball and Stray Kid, and we'll be seeing you next time. See ya.